You are listening to the unabridged reading of Chapter 1 from Her Black Soul, Book 3 of the Dark Amulet series by A.J. Norris. Please be advised that this excerpt contains adult content and language. Copyright 2017. Chapter 1. Virgil. Every time Virgil had sex, he pictured his true love, her powerful warrior's body, and golden wings. So why was he lying here, next to another female? If he could get it together long enough, he'd ask himself. His mate had been lost to Netherworld nearly 2 centuries ago. Although he missed his mate, he never cried anymore, accepting that she was never coming home. Admitting the finality of it hit him squarely in the chest every damn day, emotionally draining him and leaving not much behind. He lay naked, staring up at the bedroom ceiling, focusing on the water stain in the far corner. The room spun as the effects of Elliot's cheap bourbon and mindless casual sex wore off. He mouthed his fallen mate's name and closed his eyes. "Did you say something?" Dahlia rolled over and draped an arm over his waist. "Not me." Virgil tensed, not knowing if she wanted more from him. He wasn't sure how much longer he could pretend to have any interest in her other than how she made his body feel for brief periods of time. She was getting too close to him. Things had changed. Or maybe he had. "Dahlia? You want more?" Her half-masked eyes were partially hidden by a lock of hair cascading down her face. For a moment he saw a waterfall of red, not dark hair. "No," he said. "Elliot and Amalia will be home soon." Actually, he wasn't sure when to expect them. He wanted the golden winged angel out of the apartment. "So," she grinned, "that's never bothered you before." "I didn't say it did. Yet things are different now. For you." He removed her arm and sat up. "What things?" "You've always known what this was between us. No commitment. I've always been clear." "And you think I've grown too attached to you?" He rubbed the back of his neck. "Haven't you?" "We have fun, don't we?" "That's not the point. It's best we stop this now, before there are any hurt feelings." He sat on the edge of the bed and ran his fingers through his hair. "Well, too late. There are already hurt feelings." Virgil thought about apologizing. He brushed off the urge, even though he knew how she was perceiving him now. Like an asshole. "You knew this would end sometime. Don't make this harder, please." "So that's it? We're done here? Don't you have any feelings?" "No." "I have some things that need tending, so if you could—" "Yeah, and they involve a large bottle of liquor." Dahlia hadn't done anything wrong. He'd been the one that went to her for comfort. She'd supported him when he was weak, talked him out of falling to rescue his female. Her eyes widened. "You're kicking me out? It's not as if I've been the only male in your life. We get over this, I promise." "You condescending jerk. Like you're over her?" Dahlia was right. He'd never gotten over losing his mate. However, the two situations weren't the same. They couldn't be compared. He was left empty, a shell of a male, desperately filling the hollowness in his heart with sex and booze, except the space never reached full capacity. She'd likely wallow and perhaps throw a fit for a few days, as per her reputation for the dramatic. One of the reasons he'd held off on ending the affair. Dahlia would eventually move on. He envied her. When he remained silent, she got off the bed with a huff and grabbed her thin dress off the floor. She shimmied it up her body. The angel glared at him. "You're pathetic. After all these years, you still think she's coming back?" Virgil jumped off the bed. "What did you say to me?" The heat of his light warmed within him. "You know it's pathetic? You think you can change me. You're not worth changing. You know what? I'm sure Abaddon has a special place for her. As one of his—" "Get out!" "Gladly." The ceiling on the top floor apartment faded away until only the starry night shone inside the room. With attitude, Dahlia kissed the air over his shoulder and winked with contempt. She flapped her wings and shot into the air, disappearing as the roof, then ceiling, solidified again, as if she'd never been there. Virgil laid back on the mattress, reprieve from his constant chest ache, sat on a glass shelf behind a bar a few blocks north. He traced the outline of a tattoo in the center of his chest without looking. He had memorized the one-of-a-kind pattern. Most didn't notice the mark now, since the lines had lost most of their color. More and more fading occurred every year. His female was gone. Sitting at the bar of eternity, the Redeemer swigged 3 shots of Jack in a row. Whiskey dribbled through his Van Dyke beard. After another 3, Dahlia would disappear from his mind. "Whoa, I think you may want to slow it down a bit," Elliot said, sidling up to him. Virgil wiped his face on his sleeve. "Buzz off. Now I know you're fucked up. The vernacular, Virg?" Ignoring the comment, Virgil caught sight of a woman who sat down at the end of the bar. Her cleavage spilled out of the top of her silky little black dress. The ginger-haired human nodded in his direction and raised her Corona bottle, a lime wedge sticking out of the neck. Light glinted off her glassy eyes. He licked his lips and winked at her. "I don't think that's a good idea," Elliot told him. "It's a great idea, and don't tell me what to do." "I don't tell you what to do." Elliot sighed. "Whatever, I wasn't." "You certainly were." Virgil rapped on the counter and held up 3 fingers to the bartender. Moments later, 3 more shots of liquor were lined up in front of him. One by one, Virgil pounded them and slammed the empty glasses, rims down, onto the bar. He dragged his hand across his mouth. "I think that's enough for tonight. Let's go home." "See?" Virgil belched. "You are telling me what to do." Elliot groaned and pinched the bridge of his nose. "Okay, fine. I'm worried about you. Amalia's worried about—" "Ha! You're worried about me?" Virgil glared at Elliot. "Yeah, that's what I said." "You arrogant, selfish prick. You know damn well why I drink and fuck too much." Elliot threw his hands up. "Fine, go ahead and screw that human chick's brains out. But it's not going to make you feel any better." He walked away. "You don't think I know that?" Virgil called over his shoulder. "Only one thing will make me feel better." But that one thing wasn't a viable option. When he returned his attention to the hot human woman, she dangled a cherry by its stem over her open mouth, gazing at him suggestively. His eyebrows hit the ceiling, his cock straining behind his fly. She crooked a finger at him. He edged off the stool and ambled toward her. "You look like the kind of woman that wants to have a good time." "Maybe," she said, tilting her head slightly. The woman smirked and seemed to notice his wings, even though most humans couldn't see or feel an angel's feathers unless a plume had been plucked out. "How do I turn your maybe into a yes?" He leaned against the bar because his ability to stay upright wavered. Well, you could start by buying me a drink." Virgil motioned for the bartender to bring her another beer, although her bottle was still full. "What is your name?" he asked. He enunciated his words, attempting to appear less drunk. "What's yours?" "I asked you first." She hesitated for a second. "Susie." He jerked his chin. "Pleasure to make your acquaintance. I'm Virgil." Susie offered him her hand to shake. He grasped it, turned the palm face up, and ran his thumb from the wrist to the end of her middle finger and back again. She sucked in a breath. He smiled because he knew he changed her maybe into a yes with one simple stroke. "How did you do that?" "Do what?" Virgil shrugged. "Get me to find a dark corner in the alley with you. Right this way." He held out his hand to her. "Our back alley bedroom awaits." He allowed her to lead the way through the packed club. The black lighting near the dance floor turned her hair purple. Her dress hugged her curves. "Oh, Deus," he muttered. Why did the bad ones always have to be so sexy? Elliot was right. This wasn't just a bad idea. It was a disaster, and he was careening out of control, heading straight toward it. Virgil wasted no time pushing her back up against the cinder block wall in the alley beside the club. He slipped them further into the shadows, away from the light from a single bulb above the side exit. Susie wrapped her legs around his hips and snaked her hands around the nape of his neck. Her fingers teased his hair, then she cranked his head down, attacking his lips with a ferocious desperation. He responded by pressing his tongue into her mouth. She moaned and tilted her head to the side. His lips traveled to her neck, kissing and sucking on the cords of her throat. "I'm not wearing any panties," she said breathlessly. "Good. That means I don't have to rip them off." He yanked her dress out of the way, pushing his hard length against her sex. "You want this?" She gasped from the friction caused by his movements. "Oh, yes." He reached between them to undo his pants. "No, not here. I want you to take me home first." She kissed his neck until he purred. "Well then, let me take you home. Are you sure you want to?" He pressed his hips forward. "Does this feel like I'm sure?" "Yes, Angel." "Oh, shit!" Virgil shoved himself away from her in an instant. Charcoal fumes clogged his lungs, his backside and wings wet with demon ruler Abaddon's beast. Caught completely unassuming and lustful, Virgil had walked right into a trap. Thank you, and I hope you've enjoyed this excerpt of Her Black Soul, available April 11th, 2017. Please visit www.ajnorrisauthor.com for information about this book.